Hear ye, hear ye. Thus I present the newest moving picture from the Honorable Sir Shaggy, and cordially invite all of you fine people to join me in this episode. After one life challenge, where I attempt to level a fighter from level 1 to 20, and don't use any in-game merchants or player trading. Last game I murdered about half the lobby in the Goblin caves, one of which being a quite geared cleric who had one of the best blue necklaces I've ever seen in Dark and Darker, and also finding some other nice upgrades like a blue arming sword. Now that we're caught up, I'm showing off my gear for a moment, and we'll be ready to get into the next game in a moment. Now here I've made it up to level 9 so far, so just one more escape means that I will most likely get to level 10 and unlock the third perk slot, which again will be a very nice upgrade for the character. As you can see here, we end up having quite a lot of heals now at this point. We have a considerable amount of bandages, a large amount of shield potions, surgical kits, campfires, throwables. Can't complain about the current state of consumables at all. Get a pretty decent spawn here. Gonna check out the Goblin village as the first thing to do. But I don't hear any players and don't see any potions on the table over there. So I decide to make my way straight to the middle room, where I first have to clear out some of the annoying bugs. Now because it's so early in the game, I am definitely very tempted to check out the room on my right, to the south of me, first. Because it's a lot more likely that the loose loot has not been looted yet and the protection shrine is still up. So that's what I'm going to check out first. As I get through the door, I see a nice little potion shining at me from the corner. And now it's time to take out some goblins and check out all the loose loot. Now I don't really have a lot of inventory space considering I have so many consumables on me at the moment. So I am going to be quite a bit more selective with which loot I'm actually going to pick up from this point onward. Though there is a lockpick to be found here. And having a few lockpicks is actually very nice, because there are golden chests that can spawn in the Goblin caves as well, which tend to have very nice loot. But now with the protection shrine up, I am definitely looking for a fight. Now before I go up the ramp, I decide to just quickly check this chest. But as I open it, it's just completely empty. Preemptively pop sprint because I definitely heard something, and as I turn around the corner I see a barbarian standing there with his Zweihander. Take 2 swings at him, but take 1 back as well. Back off a little bit and pop second wind here. Or I go back in for 2 more swings and he falls after those. And it might have been a bit of an overreaction to pop second wind after just taking 1 hit. Like, the Zweihander is, unfortunately, in this game, not a very good weapon in my opinion, because it has such a slow swing speed, and it's almost unusable in corridors, because all of the swings of the Zweihander are basically horizontal swings, and as soon as you hit a wall, your hit will just be stopped, it will just clank off the wall. So, like, it is just super hard to use, and even if your hit does not get interrupted by a wall or something, it's still such a slow weapon that is so easy to dodge that I was not really in too much danger there, I do think, in retrospect. But yeah, unfortunately the campfire does not quite regenerate my second wind ability, because only white rarity campfires and higher do fully regenerate it. And here's like a short history of what happened. So originally, when they first released the 5th playtest, just resting by pressing the G button without any campfire would regenerate spells and abilities at a quite slow pace, so even second wind would slowly tick up as you were resting. Then with hotfix 1 they completely removed any regeneration for spells and abilities, and in the hotfix 2 patch notes they said that they reintroduced the ability to regenerate spells at campfires. Now I did hear some noises from around the corner there, so I do decide to pop a shield potion before checking out what's going on over there. And it's a naked ranger fighting a cleric. Quite a good opportunity to try to third party and just come in there with a shield potion up and full HP and both go through the door and close it in front of my face, so I have to reopen it. Cleric has already taken out the naked ranger. I proceed to chase them as I jump down into the hole and get a shield cast off. But right after I land a nice headshot taking the shield out, and with the second swing the cleric already falls. Must have been quite low already. Yeah, I mean, not a huge challenge for me, it's just a nice little cleanup. Actually, there's a second corpse lying there right next to the cleric. Appears to be a wizard. Oh my god, he has a blue amulet as well as a purple dress here, but he has grey pants and grey shoes, purple shield and purple weapon. This is a strange setup here, like, this cleric is basically, half his gear is purples and the other half is just he's wearing nothing in the slots or he has greys. That's definitely something strange to see. Now I end up here just dropping the second grey campfire that I had. A better option would have probably been to use it, because then I would have actually at least regenerated my second wind. But in the moment I was just like, grey campfire doesn't regenerate second wind, worthless, get out of here. But yeah, not the best decision. Should have just used it and regenerated my second wind. I do end up picking the round shield up here, and I have to decide later if it's actually worth using. But I mean, a purple shield might be worth using. Let's see. So it has 1 agility, 2 will, and 8 magic resistance. Not exactly the best stats for a fighter. The agility is useful for increased interaction speed, movement speed, and attack speed. But the 2 will basically only gives me a little bit of extra buff duration and reduced debuff duration, which is not that amazing. And the 8 magic resistance is quite a low amount. I don't believe it's even a 5% magic damage reduction. But I will check in a moment on a character sheet. As I open the character sheet, I just run into the trap right away. Which is not too big of a problem here, considering I have a bunch of bandages. But it's still a little bit funny. And yeah, I make my way here basically to the staircase, see if the gate is open and to see if I have an escape path there. Just in case. But as I get there, I actually hear another player fighting some goblins around the corner, so I use a protection potion. I see an archer shooting the wall, implying that there's a player right behind it. So I instantly pop my sprint and engage. It's a ranger who instantly has an angry fighter in his face and just falls immediately. Now that's kind of a messed up situation for this poor guy to be in, right? Like, I have such fast movement speed with the sprint up as well. There was just no way for him to get away. And him having the bow out, there's no chance at all at fighting back against the fighter in melee range. But yeah, with that, the kill feed shows 8 dead players and 2 escape portals having spawned. So maybe one more player is around somewhere, but it's fairly likely that I'm the last one in the dungeon.
Let us remember these timeless words, as we can.
So I pick up the health shrine, do a little bit more looting, and get a good amount of arrows from the ranger. And now here it's time to actually check out the stats. You can see I have 21.6% physical damage reduction and 17.6% magic damage reduction with the shield equipped. And I also have a 90% flat movement speed. Now if I drop the shield, my movement speed goes up to 93.7% from 90%, so basically a 4% increase in movement speed. Physical damage reduction changing from 21.6 to 17.3, so it's a 4.3%. And the magic resist actually barely changed. It was like a 1% difference or something, but definitely very negligible. So yeah, like in rough terms, we can say I'm trading 4% movement speed for 4% physical damage reduction, a little bit of extra action speed and interaction speed, and a tiny amount of extra magic resistance. Which just that I don't think is actually worth it, but considering the shield can also be used to block and basically gives me an extra potential option in combat, where with an empty offhand I just don't have any option, makes it a pretty close call. So I think it's defensible to drop the shield, I think it's defensible to keep using the shield. Both of them are fine options here. It's not useless to have a shield, like, there are quite a few situations where a shield can actually be very useful. It's just hard sometimes to properly aim the shield, because of course in Dark and Darkly you have to actually aim the shield into the direction of the attack. If the opponent's weapon or ranged attack connects to any part of your body, it will still deal the full damage, even if a big part of it is blocked by the shield. But against things like throwables and rangers shooting arrows at you, a shield can be very useful. Against weapons with a very predictable swing, it can be useful too. Against better players, it is generally fairly dangerous to block melee swings, because they usually know how to manipulate either the character model by, for example, jumping or crouching, or manipulate the swing direction into, for example, your legs, tiny bit of your head poking over your shield to still get a hit in even if you're blocking. So I usually do not block in melee unless in very rare circumstances where I basically cannot avoid the opponent's attacks with movement at all, and I'm not currently swinging myself, which is quite rare. But against ranged attacks it's still very useful. And I made it to level 11 here, so the third perk slot has been unlocked. I'm considering to use the Swift perk. It would be amazing if I could actually see the impact on movement speed it has in the character sheet here, but I would have to equip the perk and actually check in-game how much my movement speed is actually impacted by that. And while there are some other perks that are definitely considerable as well, I do want to check out how much it actually increases my movement speed by. Now with my weapon and shield drawn, before my movement speed was 90% and now it's 91%, so the perk is not giving me an amazing amount of movement speed by any means. It's just a 1% increase for now, so it's probably not worth the perk slot, and I can find another perk that is worth more than that. We get into game number 2 here. Get a pretty cute spawn, very close to the protection shrine. As we're gonna make our way to the protection shrine immediately on the way, just taking out 2 mummies. Potentially could drop some jewelry or bandages, but we find nothing. And as we get through the door, there is already a corpse lying around. A poor wizard. And yeah, it's in the kill feed, right? The Goblin Warrior killed Swaglord X. Poor Swaglord X has fallen victim to the PvE here. Although I can't really blame him as a wizard with starting gear. The experience is honestly miserable. Like, get a grey spellbook and you start feeling like an actual class, but with the starting gear, it is so horrible. I've picked up the protection shrine here, and I hear some commotion from behind those breakables. See another player there. But as I'm smashing the barricades, I actually take a hit from behind and turn around to see a goblin in melee with me that I did not actually hear approaching at all. And I have to stop my offensive for a moment to deal with some more of the PvE here. Now with the protection shrine up, the goblin's hit did not hurt that much. I also have a lot of extra HP. But I just pop a shield potion anyways to try and prevent any more HP loss. And also use a healing potion to start regenerating. I know that the player is very close, so I want to be as prepared as I can be. I'm able to take out the goblins without too much issue. Because of course by now with a blue arming sword and a bunch of bonus damage, the PvE falls a lot more quickly than it did with my starting gear. I decided to sit down to regen a little bit more HP. I'm not missing a whole lot and it will go pretty fast. Quickly checking out if those goblins have any gear for me. And looking behind the barricade, whether the player is still anywhere close, but I can neither see nor hear anything. And my attention goes to the loose loot and to see if I can find anything of interest. A few valuables, but nothing high rarity. Oh, there's a bandage here, which is nice. But yeah, not the best stuff this time around. Usually the loot here is quite a lot better, but not like the gold matters much to me. Now while looting here, I did definitely hear some player making noises somewhere in the vicinity. So I do decide to use a shield potion here and check out the commotion. As I turn the corner here, I do find a player. Judging by the headpiece, it appears to be a ranger. Oh no, it's definitely a rogue from the double jump. I tried to chase him down and throw some throwing axes, but miss all of them as the rogue just zooms away and starts double jumping, parkouring around. But just slowly and steadily follow the guy around and try to hit him. Oh, hit him with 2 throwing axes here, so that was actually very nice. Probably hurt quite a lot. But he manages to close the door in front of my face and I get shot at from a goblin archer behind, so if I were to open the door I would take some damage here from the archer. Unfortunately the rogue gets away and I clean up all the PvE that wants my butt. Maybe by putting my weapons away, I could have caught up to the rogue, since with weapons out I have 91% movement speed. If I don't have the weapons out, I have almost 102% movement speed. It's always a little bit dangerous to do something like that against the rogue, because they draw the weapons so much faster than you. Daggers are drawn a lot faster than any other weapon, so they might be able to draw the weapon, get in a good hit or two on you, and then as you draw your weapons, they just start kiting you again. If it's a good rogue, they can abuse the fact that you put away your weapons quite well sometimes. Now I make my way back to the middle room, seeing if I maybe can get some melees or some more PvP action here. Clear out a bug, and I see that there is actually just a skeleton mage in the room this time, so I'm not really too interested in clearing this out. I know there's a skeleton champion that always spawns, basically on the bottom floor in the northern room, that also connects to the middle room there. So that might be my next destination, however I do believe that the circle is not really favoring me going there. So I just take out the spiders here. And I definitely heard some noises coming from around the corner. As I turn the corner, I see a player fighting a skeleton, being completely up in the corner, throw some throwing knives at them, and end up connecting one, I believe, even to the head. This player is just at a huge disadvantage with the fighting the mob and being in the corner, so I approach, get one hit in the face, and he just falls over. Oh my god, that was kind of funny. Poor guy though, poor guy. I was in a very bad position, and I feel quite a lot less bad now, because I got a lot of heals from killing him. So, well, you won't hear me feeling too bad about him anymore now. Now I will make my way again in the direction of the staircase, and I'm actually chugging a shield potion just because I know that I will be fighting a lot of goblin archers at once here, like 2 goblin archers and the goblin mage at once, so it's definitely not out of the question that I will get hit. And I just want to make sure that I don't go too low HP, and I take a hit here, so it was worth it. But this goblin archer just does not want to die, apparently he's still alive. I must have accidentally hit like the arms and legs instead of the head when I was swinging at him. But it can be quite hard to get headshots if your target is elevated higher than you. So I take out all of the goblins and just use the health shrine for a little bit of missing health. And I see that the gates are already open, so I can basically escape at any point that I want. Now, counting the kill feed, I see that 8 players have already died, 2 portals have already spawned. So I think it's unlikely that I will actually find another player in this dungeon. It's unfortunately that the rogue got away earlier, but can't always find like a ton of action in every single game, even though I would like to. And that will do it for today's episode of the One Life Fighter Challenge. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, consider subscribing to the channel, leaving a like on the video, and leaving a comment down below. And while unfortunately this episode did not feature the most exciting games of the series, I can promise you that the next video is gonna be a banger with super close calls and a lot of action. So yeah, have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video.